You're listening to the Less Stressed Lawyer podcast, episode 101. Today, we're talking all about how to get unstuck. You ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Less Stressed Lawyer, the only podcast that teaches you how to manage your mind so you can live a life with less stress and far more fulfillment. If you're a lawyer who's over the overwhelm and tired of trying to hustle your way to happiness, you're in the right place. Now, here's your host, lawyer turned life coach, Olivia Vizacaro.
Well, hello there. How are you? I hope you're doing well. And I hope after this podcast, you're doing even better. You're in for a treat today. I just recently recorded a masterclass on how to get unstuck. And during that masterclass, I went through the two common themes that I see people face when they are feeling like they're stuck. And the two main themes are either that you're not taking enough action or your mindset is a mess. But then I got even more specific and I talked about the top 10 reasons that I see causing people to get stuck. So they're the 10 obstacles that you might be facing that are keeping you from making progress on the goals that you're setting for yourself. And then I went through and I gave 10 specific solutions, one solution per reason that you might be stuck, in order to really help people get unstuck or unstick themselves, so to speak. So for today's podcast episode, I'm giving you behind the scenes access to the replay of that masterclass. You can tune in, listen, see which of the 10 reasons you might be facing. Maybe it's just one, maybe it's a combination of a couple, but I'm going to talk you through what the solutions are. And then you can go through, and at the end of the episode, I talk about how to make a game plan for what you'll need to do in order to implement those solutions so you can unstick yourself. All right. I hope you enjoy this. The feedback that I got from this masterclass was incredible. It really resonated with people. They definitely saw themselves in the 10 reasons that I talked about. I think you'll see yourself in it too. All right. Enjoy. So one of the things that you're going to notice today is that there are two main themes that we're going to be discussing. All right. Two core components to why you're stuck. And they break down into these two things. Either you aren't taking action or you're not taking enough action. Maybe you're showing up inconsistently or infrequently, or your mindset is a mess. And I've had people, I just did a post about this yesterday. I've had people ask me, Olivia, can it be both? And yes, absolutely. Of course it can be both, but you just want to start to look for these themes. Now, we're going to get more specific with regard to the exact causes, and we're going to talk about 10 specific reasons you may be finding yourself stuck in an area of your life, not making progress. But creating awareness starts with understanding these two issues, okay? Because they're the core components, the core themes that are going to run through all 10 of those reasons. And if you get an idea of what your issues are, you're going to have a better understanding of what the solution is, right? So the solutions that you need to implement in order to get unstuck. Now, one of the things that I teach is the model, and that is a thought work tool where you figure out what you're thinking, how your thoughts make you feel, how your feelings drive the action that you take, and your action produces your results. All right. Now, with that being said, it might seem, because that thought, feel, act cycle starts with thinking, that we want to focus on mindset first. But when I'm specifically working with someone on how to get unstuck, I actually like to focus on the action first. And that's why I've listed it here. Now, normally, you won't be taking action probably because your mindset is a mess, but I want to solve for the action first. So when I'm working with my clients, I start there. I look for, are you taking enough action? Are you not taking any action at all? And we need to get you taking action. If we solve for the action and we get you taking enough action, that might be the only problem that you're facing. All right. So it's a simple solution. We just need you showing up more. If you're taking the action that you need to be taking for a prolonged period of time, I teach people you want to show up consistently for at least 3 months. I recommend 6, and then you can gather the data from the action that you've taken. All right. But if you show up consistently and you're not getting the results that you want, then we take a look at your mindset. All right. Because there's some negative thinking going on that's causing you to not get the results that you want. All right. So as we go through these 10 reasons, I want you to be on the lookout. Is this an action problem? Is this a mindset problem? Some of the 10 reasons that we're going to talk about are both, but I want you to be keeping note and highlighting, am I having an action issue or am I having a mindset issue? Is this an action problem or a mindset problem? Because it's going to help you, like I said, identify the solution that you need to implement. right? So we always want to start with creating awareness. Where in your life are you stuck? All right. So drop an answer in the chat. Where in your life do you feel stuck? Now, we can start by looking at, is there a goal that you're in pursuit of that you're not achieving? Okay. But I want to get a little bit more specific than that too. All right. So I teach a concept called the life wheel. All right. And I just listed out the sections of the life wheel today rather than putting it in a circle. But these are the sections of the life wheel, and I like to use them just to make an assessment of where you might be stuck in your life. Are you stuck in your business or in your career? Okay. Are you stuck with your finances? Are you not getting out of debt? Are you not investing? Are you not saving money? Are you not making what you want to be making? All right. Are you stuck in the health category? Do you want to be losing weight? Do you want to be working out? Do you want to have some health routine that you're not engaged in? How are your family and friend relationships? Are those not where you want them to be? Are you struggling? Is there conflict in those relationships? Are your relationships not getting better, more richer, more fulfilling? Okay. Same thing with romance. Do you feel stuck there? Maybe you're not dating. Maybe you're married, but if you were to rate your marriage on a scale of 1 to 10, it wouldn't be on the high side of the scale. All right. So check in there. When it comes to romance, where am I stuck? Same thing with personal development. Now, if you're here, you're investing time into your personal development, but could you be doing more? Could you be growing more? Do you feel like you're the same version of yourself right now that you were a couple years ago? If that's the case, you're always growing and developing into a new, better version of yourself. All right. So check in there. Are you stuck there? Fun and recreation. Are you having fun in your life? Are you enjoying yourself? Okay. And the last one is physical environment. And that's the space that you spend time in. So the house that you live in, the car that you drive, what's your office look like? Is it a disaster? I just coached someone on this yesterday on getting organized and working through a space that was, really not conducive to working productively. So are you stuck in any of these areas? All right. Do me a favor, drop in the chat. Tell me, where are you stuck in your life? All right. And then that'll help me better tailor some of what we talk about to what you're specifically struggling with. Are you not making the money you want to make? Are you not living the life that you want to be living? If so, how so? Finances and health, amazing. Stuck behind the pile of work that I need to get for clients. Yeah, absolutely. Ditto. Career progress as a senior associate. My business and finances, so good. Physical environment, cluttered. Business, career, finances, and romance. All right. So I want you, now that you've identified this, Benita, family, finances, health, romance, business. So good. Finances and health. Amazing. So as we go through these 10 reasons, I want you specifically looking, where am I stuck in my life? Does this reason apply to this area that I'm stuck in? Okay. Again, it's going to help you figure out your game plan moving forward. All right. So let's dive in to the 10 reasons you're finding yourself stuck. So reason number 1, all right, you don't know what you want, right? If that resonates with you, drop a me in the chat. I don't know what I want. I hear this from clients all the time. Now, how does this keep you stuck? First and foremost, it isn't true. I deeply, deeply, deeply believe that we always know what we want. We just don't give ourselves permission to access the truth. So if you're telling yourself, I just don't know what I want, you end up living at the expense of a lie. All right. You end up living in conformity with a lie that you're believing, a lie that you're convincing yourself. Also, when you indulge in, I don't know what I want, you're going to feel confused. And then you give yourself permission to remain in your comfort zone. So I don't know. One of the things you're going to see very consistently throughout our time today is that a lot of the reasons, they're defense mechanisms. The reasons you're stuck, we're indulging in a line of thinking or in a type of behavior and action pattern that keeps us in our comfort zone and pretends to protect us from the unknown, from scary things, from change. All right. That's just a defense mechanism, but it actually doesn't protect you. It prevents you from moving forward. So when you're telling yourself, I don't know, you're giving yourself permission to remain in your comfort zone, to stay safe and not pursue a goal. All right. So what's the solution to not knowing what you want? Well, first and foremost, you have to change the way that you think. You have to start believing, and this might seem like a stretch for you. That's okay. We're going to plant some seeds today, and you're going to work on building your belief in some of the thoughts that I introduce you to. But we're going to work on believing, I do know what I want. I know what I want. And from there, asking yourself, what is it that I want? What do I want? All right. What I want you to do is answer 3 different questions. They're all different variants of the same question. So the first question is, if I did know what I wanted, what would I say? All right. And give yourself permission to guess. So that's another question you can answer. If I had to guess at what I wanted, what would my answer be? Okay. So that's another place to start. All right. And then another question that I love to ask myself or ask my clients is, if you weren't worried about anyone's opinion, what would you choose? What would you pick for yourself? What would you give yourself permission to want for your life or to pursue for your life? Okay. And then when you've answered those questions, if I did know what I wanted, what would it be? If I allowed myself to just guess at what I wanted, what would it be? If I wasn't concerned about what other people's opinions were, what other people think, what would it be? What would I want for myself? And then choose that. A space for reading, yoga, peace in my house. Amazing. Right? So once we identify it, you can start to take action and come up with a game plan in order to create that. I want to lose 15% of my weight and have energy to keep growing my law office. I love that. Efficient work product and workspace and financial stability. Amazing, Brad. What I want you to do is define, what does efficient work mean? Okay. And then what does financial stability mean for you? The clearer we get on these definitions, the easier we're going to be able to work towards them. All right. So if you frequently tell yourself, you know what, I don't know what I want, we're not doing that anymore. Today, moving forward, you're going to start saying, I do know what I want. And then you're going to ask yourself these questions and force yourself to bypass your instinct to say, I don't know, and come up with an answer. All right. One of the neat things is you don't have to tell anyone else what you want. You can just keep that to yourself. If you don't want to share it with anyone, you don't have to. You can share it with me here, and I'd love it if you did, but you don't have to share it with anyone. You can just know for you. But you want to be in a conversation with yourself day in, day out, figuring out what it is you want for your life, and then giving yourself permission to pursue that. Okay. Also, if this dials down the pressure at all, just because you identify what you want doesn't mean you have to do anything about it. All right. I want you to do something about it. But if that feels intimidating and that's a reason that you keep allowing yourself to indulge in, I don't know, I want you to give yourself permission. I'm just going to identify what I want for right now. And then later on, I can decide if I want to pursue it or not. But I'm just going to get the answer right now to begin with. I want to be successful in my new business. I want to firmly believe I'm an entrepreneur after 10 years of a corporate job. Amazing, Kristen. Congratulations on entrepreneurship. It is the journey of a lifetime. I absolutely love it. What I want you to do is define, what does success mean for you this year? So we can start to identify it and work towards it. Be uploading this presentation into the Lawyer Only vault. Erin, you better believe it. Absolutely. I want to write my memoir. I love that. I love a memoir, Deborah. So good. All right. So when you start to identify this stuff, you can begin working towards it. And to answer Erin's questions, every single masterclass I do gets uploaded into the Lawyers Only vault. All right. So there's over 50 masterclasses, workshops, trainings in there already. There's going to be one more after today. All right. So reason number 2, you don't know what all of your options are. This is another reason that you're stuck. I want more time in the day. So I want you to be really careful about that. We only get 24 hours a day. All of us get the same amount of time. We cannot create more time. All right. What I think you mean by that is you want to spend your time differently. All right. So get clear on, how do you want to spend your time differently? All right. And then come up with what that answer is for you. And then we can work towards it. So reason number 2, you don't know what all of your options are. How does this keep you stuck? Number 1, you limit your potential, right? And you don't know what all of your options are, probably because you're not stretching your brain. You're thinking inside the box. You're not challenging your limiting beliefs here, okay? So you limit your potential to only the obvious options in front of you, or you're telling yourself that you don't have options, which is absolutely never true. You always have options. You just may not always like all of them, okay? So you're either limiting your potential or you're choosing options you don't prefer, because you haven't identified all the options that are available to you. And I watch a lot of people choose options they don't prefer, so they stay stuck or they don't make the progress that they want to make, or they don't pick any of the options that they've identified because they don't like them. There are some other options out there that they haven't identified that they'd prefer to choose if they knew about them. So they don't make any decision at all and they don't make progress because they don't like the options that they've identified for themselves. Okay. So what's the solution to not knowing what all of your options are? First and foremost, I want to invite you to get a different perspective. All right. This is where the power of having a coach really comes in, because it's very hard for us to challenge limiting beliefs when we don't realize that they're limiting beliefs. Okay. So getting a different perspective from people who have done the things that you want to do, right? Or from a coach who's able to identify your limiting beliefs and point out, no, this is an option. This is an option. This is an option. That's one of my favorite things that I get to do with my clients. We identify all of the options that are available to them. Okay. So get a different perspective. Identify your limiting beliefs, either on your own, if you've learned how to do that, or by working with a coach who can help you identify your limiting beliefs. And then once you identify them, you dismantle them. All right. I teach this inside the programs that I run, a specific process for how to dismantle your thoughts, how to identify the thoughts that you're thinking, and then poke holes in them and replace those limiting beliefs with a more open-minded narrative. Okay. Now, once you've done that, once you've taken a jackhammer to those limiting beliefs and you've broken up that foundation, you can start to actually identify the options that are available to you. So I want you to list them out. And I want you to list them out with the belief that you always have at least two options. You typically have more than that, usually three, sometimes a lot more than that. All right. But I want you to list out your options and keep going. If you've only found two, rack your brain, push yourself. What's my third option? What's a fourth option? How else might I be able to approach this? Okay. And then what I tell people to do, you want to get clear on what your reasons would be for choosing any of the options that are available to you. Okay. So get clear on what your reasons would be for choosing them, and then choose the option with the reasons that you like the most. You want to choose your preference. Once you choose your preference, then you can come up with a game plan on how you're going to pursue that goal. Yes, I struggle to identify more things to do to achieve my goal besides what I'm already doing. Totally. And I think, again, this is where working with a coach really comes in handy, because you might not know what you don't know, right? So one of the things that I'm constantly doing with the people that I work with is strategizing, offering suggestions. Have you tried this? Have you thought about this? What about this? What would this be like? What if you did this? If you want to create this result, if we work it backwards, I bet this will get you there. And we identify some things you probably haven't thought of. I know that's been true for me working with my coaches. They make suggestions that I've never thought about. All right. And then I realize, oh, that's an option that's on the table that was always there. I just didn't have access to it before. I couldn't see it. And then I'm able to consider a different assortment of options, a different hors d'oeuvre platter of options, so to speak. Okay. I'm feeling physical resistance in my body to these fantastic suggestions. Totally, Shannon. Tell me more about that. What's the resistance? Does it feel like it's going to be hard to do these things, or maybe just uncomfortable? How might you need to feel? Okay. What negative feelings might come up for you? If you had to name the resistance, what would it be? All right. So it hurts my stomach. That's why I teach gag and go. All right. Might make you feel a little nauseous, a little vommy. That's okay. That's the sign that you're moving in the right direction and you're making progress. All right. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but learning how to feel that discomfort and take action anyways is part of how you get unstuck, the things that you need to do in order to get unstuck. Got to feel those negative feelings, got to embrace that discomfort. All right. Reason number 3 that you're stuck. You think you can't actually have what you want. Right? So how does this keep you stuck? People don't like to waste their own time. I have gag and go on a post-it on my monitor. Amazing, Jennifer. I love that. All right. So people don't like to waste their own time, right? I know I don't like to waste my own time. I know my clients don't like to waste their time. We want the expenditure of our time to be fruitful. So if you're telling yourself that you can't have something or that it won't work, you won't pursue it. You're not going to pursue something that you think you can't attain. So instead of moving forward, even if you're clear on what you want, if you believe you can't have it, that it's not possible, you're going to tell yourself that you can't do X, Y, or Z, and you're going to maintain the status quo. Again, This is another one of those defense mechanisms, right? It's preventing you from wasting your time. What it's really doing is preventing you from making progress. So what's the solution here? We want to eliminate can't thinking. One of the things that I teach my clients to believe is that there's no result you cannot create. I teach my clients how to create results with intention. All right. You've got to cultivate the mindset. So you need to make sure you're thinking the right thoughts that support you achieving the results that you want. You've got to identify the negative feelings that you're going to have to be willing to feel. And you've got to feel them on purpose instead of avoiding them. And then you've got to identify the action that you need to take and take it intentionally. Those are the three things you need to do to create any result that you want. All right. It's that it won't. It's that I won't, not that I can't, for sure, which is a little bit of a different issue. We're going to talk about not doing the work and needing to believe in yourself and figuring out how to challenge thoughts like, oh, I won't do that. But if people think, like, a great example of this would be my clients will often think there's no way I can be successful without working weekends, right? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. We need to eliminate that can't thinking. All right. You need to believe that you can create the result of being successful and not working weekends. All right. I also want you to understand why you think you can't. So ask yourself, if you're telling yourself, I can't do that, why? Why do you think that? Where did that belief come from? All right. And when you recognize where that belief came from, you can start to debunk it. You can start to poke holes in it. All right. Once you start to challenge it, you're going to get access to new beliefs. I also teach people how to build new beliefs. So you can work to build an argument. How might I be able to do this? One of the things I teach in my programs, I teach people to walk through 4 different phases of belief, how to go from thinking something's impossible to thinking it's possible, to thinking it's probable, to thinking it's inevitable. There's a framework to move from one step or one stage of belief to the next. All right. So that's a framework that you learn when you work with me, how to get yourself from thinking something's impossible to thinking that it's inevitable. And as you walk your way through that, your belief grows stronger. And when your belief grows stronger, you take more action in furtherance of the goal. All right. If you believe that there's no result you can't create, you're going to get to work. You're going to unstick yourself. All right. I promise you, our thoughts create our results. So long as you're thinking the thoughts you need to be thinking, allowing yourself to feel the discomfort you need to feel, and taking intentional action, there is no result that you cannot create. Right? Reason number 4 that you're stuck. You're afraid to make the wrong decision. Right? How is this keeping you stuck? Making progress requires making decisions. We make so many decisions each and every day. And if you're someone who struggles with decision making, you're going to halt your progress. You're going to stunt your growth. Okay. And what's happening is you're letting your fear prevent you from deciding. And when you let your fear prevent you from deciding, you prevent yourself from moving forward. Okay. Instead, you just continue to spin and second guess. Does anyone here struggle with decision making? Do you second guess yourself? Do you question? Do you hem and haw? Do you spin? Do you make a decision and then redecide it? Oh my God, yes. Yes, it comes from decision. Dave, totally. Jennifer, yes. It comes from believing that you can make a wrong decision or that decision making is hard. I teach that there are I can make decisions. Amazing. Debbie was at my event in Miami in March. And one of the things that we talked about at length there was how to make decisions and really debunking decision-making myths. Okay. So one of the decision-making myths that I debunk for my clients is that there are right or wrong decisions. There aren't right or wrong decisions. There are just different decisions. All right. Yes, I worry about the negative consequences too much. Totally, Jasmine. That's really common. So what's the solution to this? Number 1, you need to change the way that you think about making decisions. You've got to stop believing that there are right or wrong decisions. There are different decisions, okay? Sometimes the different decisions lead to the exact same results, right? You can take 2 different routes to the grocery store and still get to the grocery store. There's not one way to go to the grocery store. Sometimes different decisions lead to different results. And what I want you to do there is instead of fretting and worrying on the front end, Thinking about the worst case scenario, you need to learn how to trust yourself to be able to handle what comes after you decide. All right. So there's two ways to go about doing that. Number one, you can just choose to trust yourself. You can say, you know what? I'm capable. I'm confident. I'm competent. No matter what comes my way, I'll be able to handle it. I've never met a situation that I wasn't able to get myself through or figure out. That's why you're all here today. All right. You've gotten through every situation you've ever faced in your life. Maybe not unscathed, maybe not flawlessly, but that's okay. That's part of the human experience, right? So you can just start to build your belief that no matter what happens, I'll be able to handle it. That's how you create your own certainty, not in what we want to have happen, which is we want the certainty before we decide or before we move forward. We want to know that something's going to work. That's not how you create your own certainty. You create your own certainty by choosing right now that no matter what happens later, you'll be able to handle it, right? You'll be able to navigate that situation. Another thing you can do is while you're making the decision, run down the what ifs. Actually answer, what if this happens? What do I think could happen? What if this happens? What if that happens? And then make a game plan for what you'll do if that happens. Run down the what ifs, answer the what ifs. When you do that, you're going to build your confidence that no matter what happens, you'll be able to figure it out. You'll be able to navigate it. Okay. This is going to make you feel confident moving forward. It's going to create safety and security for you to decide. And then last but not least, in order to actually decide, you're going to have to gag and go through the discomfort. You might have to gag and go through the worry. You might have to gag and go through the fear. You might have to gag and go through the FOMO. I just coached one of my clients on this. She really struggles with making a decision and choosing because she doesn't want to let go of another opportunity. So if you're going to choose this, that might mean saying no to something else. And people don't want to feel that FOMO. They don't want to feel deprived of both things that they want. And they end up, as a result, depriving themselves of both things rather than just one. So you want to be onto yourself. If that's you, you've got to just gag and go through that discomfort. All right. Through that uncertainty, through that not knowing. All right. Reason number 5 that you're stuck. You don't set clear goals with an action plan to achieve them. Now, one of the reasons we do this is because people are afraid to fail. And if you don't set a goal, you can't really fail. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that's a thought error. You absolutely can fail because you don't achieve the things that you want in life. You don't get the results that you desire most, right? So if that's you, if you're afraid to sort of call your shot and to pick out, this is where I want to be, you've got to embrace that fear and gag and go your way through it. So we're going to set clear goals. Now, how does this keep you stuck? When you don't make a game plan, you invite confusion and overwhelm into the picture, okay? If you're thinking about, oh, I want my life to be a certain way, I want to make more money, I want more time. I want to have more balance in my life. I want to be more successful. Those are really vague goals. Okay. And when there's a lack of clarity, again, we invite confusion and overwhelm, and it's really unclear on what you need to do in order to get where you want to go. You don't even really know where you want to go because you haven't specifically identified it. So it's hard to take action or figure out what action you need to even take if you're unclear about where you're headed. It's like trying to get someplace, but you don't pick a destination, right? It's impossible to go to dinner if you don't pick a restaurant. This is exactly the same situation. So you either end up not taking any action or you take really unintentional action. You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. You're kind of all over the place. And when you're all over the place, you really slow yourself down and you don't produce as good of results as you otherwise could if you were showing up really intentionally, right? So instead, what we want to do is we want to set goals. If you need to get over your fear of failure or your fear of setting goals, now's the time to do it. All right. Recognize that goals aren't something that you need to weaponize against yourself. A really good friend of mine, one of the things she says is the worst thing that can happen to you as you pursue a goal or after you've crossed the finish line, if your goal had a deadline on it, the worst thing that can happen is how you talk to yourself. So just decide right now, you're not going to beat yourself up. You're going to stay curious with yourself. You're going to study yourself. You're going to learn. And then we take action, audit, and adapt, act, audit, and adapt in order to continue to make progress. So you've got to set goals. You want to make sure your goals are objective specific, measurable, and attainable. One of the standards that I like to use and I teach my clients is I should be able to come into your life and check boxes on one of those little clipboards to see if you're doing the things required to achieve your goals, or that you've achieved the goal itself if you've accomplished the specific results. So you want to have a very clear action plan, okay, and clear goals. You want to make sure you have both of those things. Now, I also want you to remember to constrain. So if you are trying to achieve 20 things at once, you're really going to slow yourself down. It's going to be very hard to stay consistent when you're splitting your time between so many different results that you want to create. So the fewer goals that you set at a time, the more successful you will be. I know it can feel a little underwhelming to only pursue one or two things at a time. But I promise you, if you give that a try, you're going to feel so accomplished, so proud, so encouraged to keep going. And once you tackle one goal, come up with another one and just keep tacking them on one after another, but creating like a train or a chain of goals rather than pursuing them all at once. It's really hard to hold all those goals all at the same time, and you end up getting inconsistent, and typically you quit because it's just too heavy of a load. All right. Now, once you've set the goal, because you know what you want, we've already talked about that. You've gotten clear on it. You know what your options are. You've debunked the myth that you can't have it. So you believe that you can have it. You set the goal. It's going to be specific, measurable, attainable, and objective. And then from there, you want to reverse engineer it. All right. So you want to ask yourself, what are all of the things that I need to do in order to achieve this goal, in order to make achieving this result inevitable? All right. And by doing that, by answering that question, you're going to create a results roadmap that you can follow and implement. One of the things that we do inside my programs, both Lawyers Only and the Obsessed Retreat, is we work on creating action plans. All right. So part of that is getting clear on the results that you want to achieve. You set those goals. We identify all the actions that you need to take. And then we get really clear on what feelings you need to gag and go through. Do you need to allow yourself to feel instead of avoiding? What emotions do you need to cultivate in order to fuel you forward to take all of that action that you identified? And then we need to work on your mindset. What thoughts are you not going to think? What thoughts are you going to think that are going to fuel you to take the action that you need to take? We also include in our action plans, what are the things that you're not going to do? What do you need to not do in order to make achieving your results inevitable? So you want to come up with that very clear game plan to eliminate all the confusion and overwhelm. My goal for my clients is that I want you spending the least amount of time deciding what to do and the most amount of time doing it. So this action plan becomes the playbook that you just follow and implement. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. You don't have to keep deciding. You decide once and you move forward. All right. Tell me in the chat. Do you have an action plan? Do you have a clear goal right now? And do you have an action plan to achieve it? Yes or no? This is such a huge reason that people don't achieve. Yes. Amazing, Nina. So good. Not really. Yes and no. No, for sure. Have a clear goal, but action plan is not clear enough. Yes, that's amazing awareness to have. That's where you want to start. You want to start fleshing out that action plan, getting really clear on it. All right. One of the things we get to do inside my programs too is people submit their action plans to me. And then Rosalinda, thanks to you. Yes. So good. Yes. Thanks to working with you. Amazing. One of the things that we do inside my programs is people submit their action plans to me and I'm able to review them. And I go through, I'm like, ooh, not specific enough here. Ooh, I've got questions about this. Let's add to this. How about this? I don't know if this is going to be enough in order to achieve that goal. One of my other clients earlier this week, she was talking about posting once a week on social media, on LinkedIn. And I was like, nope, we've got to up that. We need more action in your action plan. So I'm able to go through and issue spot. This is going to help you get there. We need to get more specific about this. Let's create more clarity here in order to make your action plans foolproof. All right. Very consistently, the theme that I see with my clients is they are not specific enough. And when they're not specific enough about what they need to be doing, then they get lost. That confusion and overwhelm enters the scene, and then they don't take action because it's not clear enough what action they need to take. All right. Speaking of not being clear about what action you need to take, reason number 6 that you're stuck. All right. You don't know what you need to do. All right. Now, how does this keep you stuck? Again, say hello to confusion and overwhelm. All right. The how is your process. And if you don't know your how, if you don't know what to do, you can't do it. So you can't implement a process if you don't know what the process is. And if you don't know and you can't do it, then you end up doing nothing and you produce nothing. Now, one of the things that I have learned, we have here, twinsies, Adria, nice seeing you here. So good to see that. I know I should write multiple posts per week for LinkedIn, for example, but it takes 2 hours to do, and I simply can't make that every day due to my other workload. So one of the things we do is we learn how to shorten that time frame and make room for it. I think people have the expectation that it shouldn't take a certain amount of time. I've worked with a lot of people who think a social media post should take me 15 minutes. Mine don't take me 15 minutes. They take me a lot longer than that. In the beginning, it took me about an hour and a half. Now it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour to really write a post and then share it. And then I spend time engaging on social media. But we want to clear the time. If you've got business development goals, that has to become a priority. One of the things that I teach people is that your marketing needs to be the most important part of your day. I know that is a shift in thinking from how most of us are taught. We think doing the client work is the most important part, but we've got to keep the leads coming in. The time calculation is what messed me around, as you always said. 1000%, Nina, right? What context? Thanks. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's a concept called the one thing, and you want to make sure that the one thing that makes everything else irrelevant or unnecessary is the thing that you prioritize. And for most of us who have business development goals, the one thing is marketing, right? It's why I start my day with it. I continue to reinforce the idea that it is the most important thing I do every single day because I start my day with it every single day. I wake up in the morning, I open my laptop, I type up a post, and I share it on social media. And then I reshare that same post on Instagram later in the evening. But I always start with it. That way I can't be in the excuse factory later in the day. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I'll do it tomorrow. It's too late to post. None of that. All right. We start our day with the most important thing. If you've got business development goals, that's going to be marketing. All right. So think about the areas that you're stuck in. We listed them out earlier today, right? Do you know what you need to do? Be really honest here. There's absolutely no shame in saying, I don't know what I need to do in order to get where I want to go. I don't know what I need to do in order to accomplish this result. I consistently see my clients expect themselves to know things that they've never been taught. All right. That is insane. With all the love, like, just stop beating yourself up. Stop being mean to yourself in that way. I don't know how to speak Greek because no one's ever taught me to speak Greek. Okay. I don't know how to do astrophysics because no one's ever taught me that either. I don't beat myself up for that. But when it comes to time management, when it comes to business development, when it comes to setting boundaries, when it comes to investing in the stock market, if that's a financial goal of yours, if it comes to improving your relationships, if you've never learned how to do these things, right? Some of you have health goals. If you've never learned how to lose weight and keep it off because you haven't learned the mindset component or you haven't learned the actions that you actually need to take in order to create that result, there is no shame in that. There's no shame in not knowing how to do something you've never been taught to do, something you've never learned. So you have to stop expecting yourself to know things that you haven't been taught. And then what I want you to do, my people are very resourceful. We're very proud. We love to wear that badge of honor of like, I do it all on my own, right? I promise you what's on the other side of being humble, embracing some humility and admitting that you don't know what to do is freeing. Okay. I did this when I was learning how to manage my time. I had to come to terms with, I have no idea how to do this. I have never been taught it. I struggle with it. I'm going to go out and find an education source. I'm going to find someone who can teach me how to do this. And I learned some things and then I implemented, I applied. And then I learned more because that's really how you learn. You implement and then you audit and adapt. You've got to evaluate, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then what you're going to do differently moving forward to continue to make progress and continue to learn. All right. I joined a coaching program to teach me how to develop business in the very beginning because I knew how to coach. I got certified and learned how to do that. I had no idea how to develop business. I had no idea how to market. All right. And I joined a program and I didn't apply what I was taught. I was being arrogant. I was thinking that I knew better. And then I wasn't getting results. I went months without getting results. And finally, I admitted to myself that I didn't know what to do, that I didn't know how to do this myself, that I had never learned it, and that my way wasn't working. And when I admitted that to myself, I was able to free myself and move forward and start learning from someone. Okay. So I had already found an education source because I had already joined a coaching program. But if you haven't, find an education source, figure out what your goal is, and then figure out what you need to learn. So find someone who teaches the thing that you want to learn how to do, whether that's time management, whether that's business development, improving your relationships, setting boundaries, no longer people pleasing, overcoming perfectionism, setting and achieving goals. All right. Losing weight, whatever your goal is. How to get out of debt, how to manage your money better, how to invest. Find an education source, and you want to constrain to it. Another issue that I see people do that leads to them not knowing what to do is they listen to a lot of competing people in the same space, and people tell them to do different things. And then that creates confusion and overwhelm because they're like, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? I don't know where to start. I don't know who to listen to. And these people are telling me things that are incongruent or in conflict with one another. All right. So I want you to constrain to the source that you identify. Pick one source and listen to it and implement what they teach. So you're going to consume that education source. And then you've got to, rather than continuing to just consume, and you've got to be onto yourself if you're someone who does this. Do you consume? And then you're like, you know what? I need more information. And then I go find another education source and I consume. And then I'm like, I need more information. If that's you, you've got to cut yourself off. Complete the education that the one source you constrain to makes available to you, and then apply. 100% me, for sure. That's so many people. I know how to identify it because I used to be a chronic consumer myself. Okay. If that's you, you've got to learn how to catch it. One of my rules that I created for myself early on was I need to consume as much as I create. I need to create as much as I consume. So if I'm listening to something for an hour, I need to go take action for an hour. If I'm listening to something for 8 hours, I need to go take action for 8 hours. I've got to be creating just as much as I'm consuming. If your split looks like 90-10 or 100-0, we've got a problem. We need it to at least be 50-50. Once you start taking action, that split's going to change. Now I hardly consume at all. I might come in with tweezers. It's going to be a very pinpointed, intentional consumption of information to learn how to do one specific thing. And then I'm out there implementing again. I really don't consume much anymore. I'm all about applying because applying is what actually gets you unstuck and moves you forward and helps you make progress. Okay. So be really clear with yourself. Do you know what you need to do? And if the answer is no, stop shaming yourself. Stop beating yourself up. You've never been taught before. It's time to learn. And that's okay. So we're going to find a place for you to learn it. And then you can go from there. You can implement what you've learned. Now, once you've learned what to do, another reason you might be stuck is that you know what to do, but you aren't doing it. All right. Now, this is obvious, but why does this keep you stuck? I want to get a little bit more specific. Obviously, if you're not taking action, you're not going to move forward, right? But a couple other things happen that keep you stuck if this is your issue. All right. Number one, you beat yourself up for this. And when you beat yourself up, you take worse action or no action at all. We tend to think if we beat ourselves up, if we're mean to ourselves, if we give ourselves a really harsh pep talk like a football coach, we're going to take better action. It's going to light a fire under our ass and we're going to get moving in the right direction. That doesn't work. That's not how the think, feel, act cycle plays out in reality. Okay. If you're saying mean things to yourself, you're going to feel negative feelings and then you're going to take negative action or no action. You're going to try and escape that negative emotion through instant gratification, temporary pleasure. You're going to avoid that negative feeling and go do something else. Buffer, eat too much, drink too much, watch Netflix, scroll on social media, shop on Amazon, do all of the things that don't serve you. Take a nap, right? I used to buffer with travel. We would do anything to get out of that negative emotion, that negative space that you're in. So beating yourself up just creates negative results. Negative thoughts lead to negative results. Always, always, always. So if you're not taking the action that you need to be taking, and you're beating yourself up. That's going to keep you stuck. You're also likely blaming the wrong thing if this is where you're at. A lot of my clients tell themselves, I'm lazy, or you're telling yourself, like Debbie said earlier, like, I just won't do it. I can't do it. Not that it's impossible for someone to do, but that you actually can't do it or that you won't do it. And you're blaming, like, this is just the way that I am. I'm lazy. I'm not capable. I am not driven or motivated enough. You're blaming the wrong thing. Okay. You're blaming just like your inherent nature. And that's not what's actually going on. And when you blame the wrong thing, you don't solve the right problem. Okay. The other thing that I see people do is they consistently don't do the work. And what I mean by that is the thought work that you need to do to get unstuck, to actually take the action you need to take. So one of the things I've noticed with the people that I coach is they'll make a plan for what to do. They know what to do. All right. They know the action that they need to take at least. They might not know how to do the thought work that actually gets them to move forward, but they know the action that they need to take. And then they're not taking it. So they make the plan and then it comes time to implement the plan. And then they stop and they go off and do something else. And then they'll come to me and they're like, Olivia, I'm not making progress. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do after you experience the resistance? And what comes after that? And they're like, nothing. I just go off and do something else. I'm like, well, of course, that's why you're not making progress. You're not doing the work. So the work that I teach is that we need to figure out, why aren't you moving forward and taking the action that you need to be taking? Okay. So the solution here is to do the work. You've got to study yourself. You need to figure out what the actual problem is. It's not your inherent nature. It's not that you're lazy. I promise you that is not it. There are 3 problems causing the issue of knowing what to do, but not doing it. All right. They are negative thoughts that you're thinking, negative emotions that you're avoiding, and intentional actions that you're refusing to take. Those are the only 3 problems causing you to not take action. That's it. Those are the only 3 problems ever. And there are 3 simple solutions to them. You need to change your thoughts. Okay. You need to decide to feel your negative feelings on purpose, and you need to take intentional action in spite of them. All right. Those are the 3 problems. Those are the 3 solutions. This is the skill set you master when you work with me inside my programs. Okay. This is coaching. This is thought work. The biggest problem, I would say, out of all 10 reasons that you are not moving forward is that you don't know how to change your thoughts and feel your negative feelings on purpose in order to get you to take the intentional action you need to take. So if you are stuck and you know what you need to be doing, but you're not doing it, this is the solution that you need to learn how to implement. Okay. You need to figure out, what am I thinking? What negative thoughts are coming up for me that are causing me to not move forward? What negative emotions? And we want to be more specific than just saying that you're uncomfortable. Are you feeling dread? Are you feeling confused? Are you feeling uncertain? Are you feeling worried? Are you feeling guilty? Are you feeling inadequate or unprepared? Are you feeling overwhelmed or pressured? Right? What specific flavors of discomfort are you avoiding? And you've got to learn how to feel those feelings on purpose and take action in spite of them, how to gag and go and despite those negative feelings. Okay. All right. Reason number 8 that you're stuck. You're implementing your plan, but you're not making progress. You're not making the progress that you think you should be making. Right. Number 1, I always want to check in here. Where did your expectation come from? Okay. One of the things that I consistently see, people form expectations based on nothing. That's just a natural part of our human conditioning. We love certainty so much that we decide ahead of time what the results should be, even when we're conducting an experiment for the first time. All right. So I watch people post on social media and they'll think, oh, after a month, I should be signing clients. Right? Where did that expectation come from? I promise you, there's no social media or marketing book that tells you after this many social media posts, you should have this result. All right. It takes you a month and then you should have made this amount of money. There's not a book that says that anywhere, but our brains come up with these ideas and then we measure our results against our expectations. And wherever there's a gap between our lived experience and the expectation we have, this is where our suffering exists. This is where our negative emotion lives. Okay. So my goal for people is to figure out, what is your expectation? Where did it come from? What was it based on? A lot of times we base it on nothing. Our brain just serves us up an expectation out of nowhere. And I want to try and bridge the gap and bring the expectation closer to the lived reality. That doesn't mean you have to like the current results that you have. You can want them to be different, but expecting them to be different creates a different energy, right? A disappointment or an entitlement to having different results that really doesn't serve you. Okay. Now, if you're implementing your plan and not making the progress that you think you should be making, another thing that I see is that people keep running the same playbook, the same game plan. All right. So if you've been at it for a while and you don't have the results you want, you're probably not evaluating. All right. So you just do more of the same. And more of the same gets you more of the same results. Okay. Plus, like I said, you're probably feeling disappointed, discouraged, exasperated, frustrated. So those negative emotions coming from the thoughts that you should be somewhere different than you are, it leads you or drives you to take less action over time. Okay. Or you take action, but with really negative energy. Think of taking action, but like with bad perfume or bad cologne on, right? It impacts everything that you do. It gives it a stench, so to speak. Okay. So what's the solution? You've got to evaluate, right? We need to create awareness. What's working? What's not working? What do you need to do differently? So I want you to choose a frequency that you're going to evaluate every week, every month, every quarter, up to you. All right. And you're going to conduct an evaluation. So that way you take action, you audit the action that you take, and then you adapt. So the evaluation process I teach is really simple. We just answer what's working, what worked, what didn't work. You want to be very specific here. And then you want to solve for what didn't work by figuring out what will I do differently moving forward. You want these two things to match. Don't come up with things that you'll do differently that don't address what you identified didn't work. Okay. You also want to focus on action and mindset. So one of the things we do in my programs is we talk about what are the thoughts that you were thinking while you were taking action? What are the thoughts that you're thinking right now? Because like I said earlier, there's these two consistent themes. We've got an action problem or a mindset problem or both. And we want to make sure that we're solving for both of those. Okay. Sometimes it's just going to be about taking different actions. Sometimes it's going to be about changing the thoughts that you are thinking in order to show up more effectively. All right. I know people don't love to evaluate. We love to just be like, it didn't work. I'll do better next time and just keep moving forward. But that is how you stay stuck. Evaluations really move the dial. Okay. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing them, but you do want to make sure you do them. Reason number 9, you stay stuck. You quit too early. Okay. Again, this comes from those expectations that you should be getting results faster. Okay. So I want you to understand why this happens. Why do we quit? 1, you expect it shouldn't take as long as it's taking. So you're feeling frustrated. You're feeling exasperated. You're feeling confused. You're feeling discouraged, feeling defeated. All right. Maybe even embarrassed if it's taken you a while. So you feel those feelings and then you avoid those feelings by quitting. All right. You quit to escape the discomfort. And typically what we do is we jump to something new. How do I know this is a thing? Because I used to do it. All right. What we tend to do is we start taking action. All right. You get an idea and you feel really determined, feel really motivated, really confident. And then you start taking action and you don't get the results you want right away. And you start to feel a little confused and you keep moving forward, but maybe you start to take a little less action. And then you feel frustrated because you're still not getting results. And now you're starting to feel disappointed and you're taking less action, showing up less consistently. And then you're starting to feel discouraged. All right. And now you're starting to feel out of control and maybe hopeless or helpless. And then right around the time that you feel defeated, you quit and you jump to something new. All right. I started a lot of businesses in my 20s and I used to do this. I'd show up less consistently. So of course I'd get fewer and fewer desirable results. And then I would quit and I'd get a new idea and I'd start this process over again. And I'd go back to feeling determined, motivated, and confident. And I just repeat this cycle. All right. Now, if you do that, you will never make progress. You'll never get where you want to go if you keep quitting too early. I just heard a quote recently. This was so good. Someone said there are only 2 outcomes. You succeed or you quit before you do. All right. If that's not true, I don't know what is. If you're evaluating, if you're taking action, you're auditing and adapting, and you never give up, you will succeed. Okay. The only difference between people who succeed and people who don't is that people who succeed are willing to do the things that people who don't succeed, people who quit early, aren't willing to do. All right. They're thinking better thoughts. They're willing to feel the discomfort and they're taking action that the people without the results aren't taking. Again, it's always those three problems, always those three solutions. So you want to make sure that you don't quit. All right. If you quit, you don't give your efforts time to compound. You don't give yourself a chance for the progress that you're making to compound in order to produce the results that you want. So what's the solution? You've got to take quitting off the table. All right. When I started this business, because I had learned that that was my habit in the past, I decided that I was going to take quitting off the table entirely. All right. I said, I will not quit this business. I'm willing to feel every feeling that I need to feel in order to be successful. I'm willing to be bad at marketing for however long it takes me to be good at it. I'm going to study. I'm going to find that education source. I'm going to implement what I learn. I'm going to learn more through implementing. I'm going to evaluate, take action, audit, and adapt. And I'm going to move forward. I will not quit no matter what. So I released the timeline. I said, no matter how long this takes me, I will figure it out. And when you're new at approaching a goal, I want you to release the timeline. All right. Timeline can create so much pressure and so much negative emotion. And if you don't know the underlying skill sets, so I'll watch people in the very beginning of their business, they won't know how to create clients consistently yet. And they'll say, you know what, I want to make $100,000 this year, or I want to make $250,000 this year. You don't have the foundational skills figured out. You don't know how to create a client consistently. So when you say, I want to do this within this time period, but you don't know how to create repeatable results, you're really setting yourself up to feel so discouraged, to feel out of control, and then you end up quitting. All right. So I want you to release the timeline, focus on the skills first. One of the things that I teach when we talk about business development, the goal for the first few months is 0 clients. We just want you taking action consistently. We're going to come up with an action plan and you're going to work it. And then like 3 months in, have the goal be 1 client. And then once you hit that, we want to repeat that result a couple more times. Then we can increase it to 2. And you start to learn the thinking that's required to achieve this goal. This is the discomfort allowance, the feelings I need to feel to achieve this goal. And this is the intentional action I need to take in order to achieve this goal. And that becomes your playbook for creating a specific result consistently. Okay. Once you have that playbook and you have certainty over what is required to produce a specific result, then you can introduce timelines into the equation and set goals with timeline parameters to them. But if you don't have the skills down first, you're going to feel very frustrated about trying to hit a timeline that feels very outside of your control. Okay. So I want you to take quitting off the table, release your expectations that things should happen within a certain time period. You're going to start to conduct some experiments so you learn how long does it take you in your business or in your life, whether it's business development or any other results. Let's say you're working on time management. We're going to take quitting off the table, release the timeline. All right. Focus on mastering the skills first. Monitor your mindset. Make sure your thoughts are in the right place. Identify those negative thoughts. All right. Replace them with positive ones and then choose on purpose to feel those negative feelings. That's going to be how you don't quit. Okay. How you keep going no matter what. Anyone I see who entertains the idea of quitting is less successful. I watch it happen time and time again. Anyone who's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out slows their progress and makes it less likely that they'll achieve their desired results. So if you've got a plan B, we've got to get that plan B out of there. All right. You need to be all in on plan A. All right. Reason number 10, last reason that you're stuck. You don't enjoy the journey. All right. You're all about the end result and you end up hating the process in the meantime. All right. You don't enjoy the day to day. So I see this a lot with people who don't enjoy the day to day of time management. You want more time. You want to spend your time differently, but you don't want to put in the work of planning your schedule, making a to-do list, honoring your to-do list. You want to make money in your business, in your law practice, whatever it is that you do, but you don't want to do the marketing every day. You don't want to put the action in every day. You think marketing sucks. You think connection calls suck. You think doing trainings like this suck. All right. But you want the end result. If you don't enjoy the journey and you're all about the end result, you end up hating the process. And it's hard to keep going and stay consistent when you create a negative experience for yourself day in and day out. All right. And less action, as we've discussed today, leads to less progress. Okay. You also end up looking for pleasure elsewhere. So what I want you to do to solve for this is you need to detach yourself from your attachment to the results. You need to recognize that there is no there. There is not better than here. Okay. You think there is going to be better and that you're going to feel a certain way or that things will be better at that end point. I promise you, you'll still have problems there. They might be different problems. They might be new problems. Some of the problems will be the same. But there is not better than here. You can want more for your life, but you want to do it with the mindset that it's still going to be 50-50. There's going to be good stuff and bad stuff. All right. And then when you stop thinking that there is better than here, you can start to appreciate here where you're at right now. Okay. I also want you to change your expectations. You probably have expectations of what the journey should be like, how it should feel. I watch a lot of my clients think that the day-to-day should feel really pleasurable. It's not gonna. It's gonna feel some good and some bad. You're gonna have to embrace dread. You're gonna have to embrace boredom. I once heard that the secret to success is falling in love with boredom. I couldn't agree with that more. All right. So you want to embrace that experience, right? Every day might not be super exciting. Working your playbook, working your game plan, that action plan that you create for yourself may not always feel exciting. Change your expectation that it should be 100% exciting all the time, right? I also want you to stop focusing on what you dislike. You're highlighting what you dislike when you're in the day-to-day. Instead, find the parts that you do like, all right? If you don't like networking, think about, do you like people? All right. And if you don't like people, I have a podcast episode on that. That is a really unhelpful thought. If you tell yourself you don't like people or you hate people, you're in the people business. All right. We have to interact with people. So you want to find ways to enjoy connecting with people. Do you like hearing people's stories? Do you like learning about them? All right. How could you enjoy it? How could you set it up to be more fun? Who would you need to talk to in order to enjoy that more? If you don't like posting on social media, you got to change your thoughts about it. All right. It's free. It is one of the most incredible tools that we have access to. If you have negative thoughts about it, come see me. I have really, really positive thoughts. All right. But you need to find parts you do like or change your thoughts so you can get yourself to like them and really embrace and fall in love with the journey. Focus on who you become in the process of pursuing a goal. If you enjoy the day-to-day more and you make it less about the trophy at the end of the road, you're going to have so much more fun. You're going to show up more consistently, more frequently. You're going to take better action with better energy. And we know if you take better action with better energy, you're going to produce better results. You're going to make more progress and get yourself unstuck. All right. So those are the 10 reasons that you are finding yourself stuck. What I want you to do is review now. All right. Which of the 2 main themes are you struggling with? Action, mindset, or both? All right. I want you to write that down, get really clear. Right? Action or inaction, better yet, mindset or 3, both. Okay. And then go through and figure out which of the 10, it can be an assortment, which of the 10 reasons are keeping me stuck. List them out. Okay. Then what I want you to do from there is I want you to work through the solutions that I gave you. So make a plan. All right, go through. If listing them out, you're like, oh, 3 is one of my problems. I think that I can't have what I actually want. And then I don't know what to do. I think that was number 6. Let me check. Yep. I don't know what to do. I need an education source. And in some of my areas, I do know what to do, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the work. Right. So that's 7. And then I quit too early. All right. That's number 9. So if you list those things, you can start to come up with a game plan. What's the solution Olivia taught me for 3, 6, 7, and 9, right? List it out and come up with your game plan. If you're not setting goals, list that here. All right. Number 5, what's the solution for that? Reverse engineering and coming up with an action plan. All right. The other thing that I want to invite you to do, right? I have 2 ways to work with me. If you recognize you're stuck, okay, and you want to get unstuck and you want my help doing that, all right, here's what I want you to do. Decide if you're a lawyer, you want to join lawyers only, okay? There's two ways to join Lawyers Only. You can join as an annual member for $1,500 for the year, or as a monthly member for $150 a month. All right. If you're a lawyer, you want to be in that program. All of the things we talked about today, the inaction, the mindset, the specific ways that you're stuck, you're going to learn how to work through all of that with my help. All right. We're going to learn how to figure out what you want. You're going to learn how to dismantle your limiting beliefs that things aren't possible for you. You're going to learn how to create action plans and figure out the result roadmap that you need to implement in order to get there. I'm going to teach you the specific skills, how to manage your time, how to develop business, how to set boundaries, how to improve your relationships, those areas in your life where you're struggling. If you don't know what you need to be doing, I'm going to teach you the how. All right. I'm going to teach you how to evaluate. So when you're taking action, you are able to act, audit, and adapt. If you know what you need to do, or once you learn it from me, you can, if you know what to do and you're not taking the action you need to be taking, I'm going to help you work through that. I'm going to teach you how to do the work. I'm going to teach you how to cultivate the mindset that you need to have, teach you how to embrace those negative emotions that you need to embrace, and teach you how to take intentional action. All right. I'm going to help you not quit on your goals and embrace the journey. All right. Embrace the journey of pursuing them. All right. Does monthly require a certain number of months? It doesn't. That's a great question. Okay. Any other questions about Lawyers Only? Cool. Thanks. Anyone on the fence about joining a program with Olivia? I've joined all 4 of her retreats and I'm in Lawyers Only, and I've done one-on-one coaching with her. I'm yet to regret a single moment of interacting with her. Pure gold. Sadra, thank you so, so much. The other link, so if you're not a lawyer and you're like, Olivia, I want in on this. I want to work with you too. I want to work through these problems with you. I want to give you a link to sign up for my next retreat. So I also host a retreat that's open to everyone, not just lawyers. Okay. And I do those events twice a year. All right. I'm going to give you, that is the link to the interest list for the next Obsessed retreat. Now, as part of the Obsessed retreat, you get the in-person event. All right. Which is 3.5 days in person. We do a deep dive on solving the problems keeping you stuck. All right. Learning essential skills that you need to have to move forward, and then setting goals and making plans to achieve them. You also get lifetime access to monthly group coaching calls and lifetime access to the member portal. We have such a robust community in there. So if you're not a lawyer and you're dying to work with me, get in that program. That's the way to work with me outside of Lawyers Only. Through Lawyers Only, you get weekly group coaching calls. All right. And then access to the member portal. There is a masterclass vault of 50 masterclasses in there. In both of my programs, you get access to written coaching. There's a coaching request section where you can submit any problem that you're struggling with. There's foundational material videos that teach you the foundational concepts of coaching that you're able to watch on demand. Those masterclasses in the masterclass vault, you can also watch on demand. You have a space where you can submit stuff for feedback. So if you're working on social media and you want feedback on posts, or if you're putting together a training and you want feedback on that, you can drop that stuff in there and I'll give you feedback on it. You get feedback on your action plans. We work through that very specifically. There's also a space to do those evaluations. So we work through and I can coach you on the things that aren't working so we can figure out what you need to do differently. In both of these programs, whether you're an attorney or you're not, I give you all the support you could possibly need. Okay, in order to get where you want to go. If you feel stuck in the areas of your life that you identified earlier and you want to stop struggling on your own, come work with me. All right. This is how you will unstick yourself the fastest with the help of a coach. All right. So get in Lawyers Only. Over the course of the next 3 months in Lawyers Only, we're going to do a deep dive in talking about people pleasing, perfectionism, and procrastination. And then I'm going to be releasing a time management for lawyers course this summer and a business development for lawyers course in the fall. All right. So you want to be in those programs and learn the foundational concepts before that stuff comes out. That way you can hit the ground running and learn as I release that. Okay. I was initially skeptical and paid twice during this presentation because I'm actually impressed. Amazing. And I got your message, Benita. I will double payment. I will fix for you. Okay. All right. Any other questions anyone has about any of the programs that I host? I'd love to see you inside of them. If you have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking here, reach out to me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn and on Instagram. I'm happy to answer questions. Do I still do one-on-one coaching? Very, very rarely. So I'm winding down my one-on-one coaching practice. I don't have any availability for several months. If you want to work with me, it's either in the Obsessed Retreat or in Lawyers Only. Okay. If you're an attorney, get in Lawyers Only. That is the one-stop shop that you want to be in, working on everything personal and professional, everything law school, your employer and your parents didn't teach you. Get inside there. If you're not an attorney and you're dying to work with me, that's the Obsessed Retreat, lifetime access to that community. And then you get access to, of course, the next in-person event, which is going to be this fall. All right. And one of the things that's neat about Lawyers Only specifically is that you have the ability to schedule one-off, one-on-one calls with me. So that's something that I'm releasing in the month of May. There's an additional charge for that, but I've never done that before. You have to be in my programs, though, in order to have access to that. In the past, I've worked with people one-on-one for a certain time period, typically 6 months. Now, more recently, it's been 5 months, but that's not something I'm offering right now and won't be offering anytime soon. So if you want to work with me, don't wait for that. Get inside these programs, and then you have access to being able to book those one-off, one-on-one calls if you want additional support. But I promise you really don't need that. You get plenty of support inside the member portal and on our group coaching calls. Where do the retreats take place? They change every single time. I'm getting ready to finalize the location for the next one. But so far we've done Detroit because I'm originally from there, Charleston, which is where I live now. One of the reasons I moved down here is because I fell in love with it. You know, Zoom loves to recognize my hand gestures. One of the reasons I moved down here is because I hosted a retreat here and really fell in love with Charleston. And then I did Big Sky, Montana last August. And then we just did the last one in Miami this past March. So I'm picking out the location for the next one right now. I'm in talks with an incredible hotel that I'm really excited about, but I'm not ready to announce it yet, which is why you want to sign up for the interest list. If you're on the interest list, you're going to get all of the details and a chance to join before I release that information to the public. Okay. Any other questions? For those of us who are in both the Obsessed Retreat and Lawyers Only spaces, how do I decide where to post and request coaching? And that sounds like spinning. I love it. That's actually a great question. I know quite a few people are in both communities because they want to work with me at my in-person events. And then they also want the support and community of a Lawyers Only space, right? So you can be in both. If you're an attorney, definitely do the retreat and do Lawyers Only. The more support you have, the better, and the further you'll get, the fastest. All right. So what I've seen people do, some people have posted in both spaces. If it's something that we talked about in person, I've seen people share that in the Obsessed Retreat space. If it is something, I think this is the standard that I would use. If you think both communities would benefit from it, post it. And then if I respond to you, I'll respond in both places, and you don't have to respond in both places. You can just continue the thread in one. But I think how I think about it is I want the coaching conversation to take place in as many places as possible. So you can choose between the two, or you can just do it in both, and then I'll share my responses in both. And that way, people in the communities get access to all of that good coaching, right? One of the things that makes these programs so beneficial and robust is that people get to see other people work through the same issues that they're facing. So the more we have access to that, the better. All right. But you can also just trust yourself to decide. I trust you to make the right decision, even though there are no right decisions. All right. Just different decisions. Thank you, Habibti. All right, my friends, that's our show for today. Amazing to see you on this Friday. I will see you all at the next masterclass. Stay tuned. I'll be announcing that soon. All right. Have a beautiful weekend.
Thanks for listening to the Less Stressed Lawyer podcast. If you want more info about Olivia Vizzacaro or the show's notes and resources from today's episode, visit thelessstressedlawyer.com.